So we're going to use this lesson 5.3 not to estimate quotients, but to practice division using area models. And the first thing I need you to think about is the related multiplication. Every division problem is related to a multiplication problem. Remember, when we learn a multiplication fact, it's buy one, get 10 free, right? So the first thing you're going to do is think about that related multiplication fact. And then I want you to use flexible place value. And we'll use that flexible place value to break up the product of that related multiplication problem. And the third thing we're going to do is we're going to organize all of this work in an area model. So we're going to use an area model to organize the problem as we break it apart. And as we're going with our area model, we need to be mindful of the possibility of remainders. And so we will be watching out for remainders. We'll watch out for remainders, and those we'll have to include separately since we're dividing by whole numbers and we're not yet working with fractions. So let's kind of go slowly. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you have your multiples map nearby as you're working on these problems. Let's begin. I'm going to start with problem number 3. Remember, we're not going to estimate each quotient. Instead, we're going to use this section as an opportunity to practice using area models with division. 3,340 divided evenly among 8. Well, I'm going to think of that related multiplication fact. I'm going to ask myself, 8 times what equals 3,340? Well, the factor that I know is 8. So I've thought of my related multiplication fact. I'm going to use flexible place value. I'm going to use an area model to organize it. The factor that I know is 8. Here's my area model. And now I'm going to start taking this number apart. Using my multiples map for 8. If you don't know your 8 times tables fluently, you're still not helpless. You must use your multiplication map. 3 is not a multiple of 8, and so using flexible place value, I'm looking at 33 hundredths. I take a quick peek at my multiplication map. 32 is very, very close to 33 without going over. And so I'm going to use 32 hundredths. There were 33 hundredths, and I used 32 of them. That leaves me with 140. 1 is not a multiple of 8, but 14. Let's see. Using my multiples map, 16 is too big, and so I'll have to use 8. 8 tens. There were 16 tens, there were 14 tens, excuse me. There were 14 tens, and I've used 8 of them. That leaves me with 6 tens. 6 is not a multiple of 8, so I'm going to downgrade and exchange. I have 60 units. Taking a quick peek at my multiples map, I see that 56 is a multiple of 8. There were 60 units. I used 56 of them. And I have 4 left over. And so that's going to be my remainder of 4. And now I ask myself, 8 times what gives me 32 hundredths? 8 times. And again, I use my multiples map. I'm reading it straight off. 1, 2, 3, 4. 8 times 400. 8 times what gives me 8 tens. 8 times 110, because that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 8 times what gives me 56? 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 times 7. And so that would give me 417 with a remainder of 4. Next problem. I'm going to think of my related multiplication fact. 2,943 divided evenly among 7. Well, 7 times what gives me 2,943. Well, the factor that I know is 7. Let me go ahead and set up that area model. And because I am multiplying by 7, I will be using that multiples map. $2,000 is not a multiple of 7. 2,900, I can use 2,800. For 2,900, I use 28 of them. That leaves me with 143. 1410s, I can use 1410s. Oh, and then I'll have a remainder of 3. And so that would give me 420 with the remainder of 3. For the sake of space, I will not do 5 and 6. Let's do 7 and 8. I'm going to think of that related multiplication fact. 5 times what equals 2013? Well, the factor that I know is 5. Two is not a multiple of 5, but 20 is. And so I'm going to have 20 hundredths here. There were 20 hundredths. I used all 20 hundredths. I have 13 left. Well, 5, 10. I can use 10 units. That'll leave me with a remainder of 3. Now when I find my missing factors, it's going to be 402 with a remainder of 3. 281 divided evenly among 3. I ask myself 3 times what equals 281? Well, 3 is the factor that I know. 200 is not an obvious multiple of 3, but 28 tens, I could use the obvious multiple of 27 tens. There's 11 units. I'm going to use 9 of them, and that leaves me with a remainder of 2. So I have 33 with a remainder of 2.